All right, Shalom Aleichem, gentlemen. Welcome to our Wednesday class. We're starting a new topic today, Berkot Ha'Shachar. Actually, under the Shulchan Aruch, it's called Berkot Ha'Shachar, the Shar Brachot, and the other Berachot, because under this category of Halacha, it's from Mem Vav until Nun Zayin, from Siman 46 until Siman 57. That's where you'll find these halachot, and they also include the halachot of Baruch Shamar and Ishtabach. So that's why, it's B'sha'ar Berachot. But we're going to begin from the beginning, Berkot HaShachar, all these 18 Berachot that we say every morning, the source to them, where did they come from, what does each one mean? So Bezat Hashem, let's begin. So as usual, I'm not going to read from the Yalkut Yosef. I kind of did a summary of the things that I feel are most relevant for us. I also took help from other sources, such as Rabbi Mansour's classes on Berkot HaShachar, etc. All right. So first of all, where did these berachot come from, Berkot Ha'Shachar? I want to say it's Halacha Moshe Sinai, which means these brachot from Mount Sinai. Hashem said that we have to say brachot. There is truth to that. Listen to what Rav Natronai Gaon says. To give you a background, the Tkufa of the Geonim lived about 1,000 years ago, and he says that this was Halacha Moshe Sinai, that we have to say 100 brachot every day. That's a given. However, everybody would say that brachot to himself in his own matter, meaning there was no set brachot, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam. A person would eat, he would say some sort of praise to Hashem, etc., and he would have to reach 100 brachot. In the time of David HaMelech, there was a bad plague and a lot of soldiers died. And David HaMelech understood that this is because people are not careful with saying 100 brachot enough, and he tried to strengthen this idea. David HaMelech lived 3,000 years ago, about maybe between 500 to 800 years after David HaMelech came the people that are called Anshei HaKnesset HaGedolah. The Anshei HaKnesset HaGedolah, said Rav Natronai Gaon, they are the ones that founded for us the Berkot HaShachar. They wrote them down, all the berachot, and since then we have organized Berkot Ha'Shachar. But before then, we just knew that we have to say 100 berachot, but it was not organized. Now the question is, halachically today, I want to see if any of you know the answer. Are we obligated to say 100 berachot every single day, also today?
Yeah, I think so.
Very good, Ilan. Thank you, Ilan. Baruch Hashem. The answer is Shulchan Aruch and Siman Mevav writes that there's an obligation to say 100 berachot every day. That's why, we'll see soon, but people that come into Shabbat, there's a problem because we don't have the Shemoneh Esrei like we have on Yemei Chol, which is 19 brachot times 3, you get to 57. On Shabbat, the Shemoneh Esrei has only 7 berachot. So even though we have an additional tefillah, which is Musaf, so it's still 7 times 4, that's 28, as opposed to 57. We're kind of short on 21 berachot, so we have a challenge before us. That challenge usually gets fixed because, there's a lot of Seudot and a lot of Berkat HaMazon, but we also have to try and be extra careful to reach the 100 brachot in other ways, like Borei Minei Besamim, etc. A lot of people find different ways to reach 100 brachot on Shabbat so that we won't miss that. Because on Shabbat, there's a bigger challenge. Oh, I see some more guys join. Welcome, Igal. Welcome, Marcel. And Tomer, Baruch Haba. It's the first time joining us. Welcome, Bezrat Hashem. So I'll give you guys a background to those that just joined us right now. We're talking about Berkot Ha'Shachar. Where did it come from? We say that Anshei HaKnesset HaGedolah were metaken. They fixed us to have Berkot Ha'Shachar. Even though from Mount Sinai we were obligated to say 100 berachot every single day. But what were the berachot? Everybody to himself. Everybody invented his own beracha and said it. And Anshei HaKnesset came and organized the Berkot Ha'Shachar that we have today. So we were asking, is saying 100 brachot an obligation from the Torah? And the answer is yes, we all have to say 100 brachot every single day. It's more challenging on Shabbatot because we don't have as many brachot during our Shemoneh Esrei. However, as we said, there are more Seudot, more Netilot Yadayim. Each Berkat HaMazon is 4 berachot. So, Baruch Hashem, there are ways of catching up. But yeah, you have to pay attention on Shabbat to make sure that you are reaching 100 berachot. So, a little bit more fruits, a little bit more, a cookie here, a cracker there, a little shakol, borei nefashot, eventually you get to 100 berachot. Now there's a hint. There are a few hints that Rabbi Mansour gave these hints to 100 berachot. What is the beracha? The idea of the beracha, Berkot Ha'Shachar, but generally, a beracha is there to say to Hashem, thank you. 100 times a day, we're obligated to say to Hashem, thank you. There's a remez, there's a hint to that. Where do we see this remez? In Shemoneh Esrei, there's a bracha, Modim Anachnu Lach. we praise you, Hashem.
That was the balance.
Okay.
Yeah, got
And
it.
the bracha of modim, I'm just going to say and the bracha of modim anachnu lach, the letters mem, vav, daled, yud, mem, modim, the gematria, the numerical value of those letters is 100, as if to hint to you that the modim, the thank you to Hashem, that's what modim means, thank you. The thank you to Hashem needs to be 100 times a day. That's one hint. Another hint is the mizmor that is a praise to Hashem. Anybody know a mizmor that is a thank you to Hashem? We read every morning in Shacharit.
Mizmor Todah.
And mizmor letodah, which means a mizmor that is thank you to Hashem. So that mizmor, if you open up the book of Tehillim and look for the mizmor letodah, anybody want to guess what number mizmor it is? It's mizmor 100. Easy to remember. Why? How do we praise Hashem? When do we say todah? 100 times a day. So these are remazim, these are hints where
is there like an explicit pasuk that tells us to do it, or is it all just like inferred from this stuff?
You're asking about what specific 100 barachot or generally?
No, generally.
Yeah, so there's a pasuk that some learn from it. The pasuk says, Ma Hashem Elokecha shoel mi'imach ki im lira. What is Hashem asking from us? So some want to say... Very good, very good. Don't read it ma, read it me'ah, which means me'ah is 100. What is Hashem asking for you? 100 berachot a day. So there are many, many different remazim. That's, of course, is one of them. But the Geonim, Rav Natonai Gaon, that's how we opened the class. He was the Rosh Yeshiva in Bavel. I know you went through the series of our sages. So
yeah,
the Geonim, Rav Natonai Gaon, he brings down that the source of all these berachot began in Har Sinai. Hashem gave us the obligation to say 100 berachot. These are all hints, but really it came from Mount Sinai. Since then, we're obligated to say 100 berachot. How did they become Anshe Knesset Gdolah that lived 22 to 2,500 years ago? They established the berachot for us. All right, interesting question. I'm eating Seudah Shelishit. Now, my goal is that this Seudah Shelishit and the Berkat HaMazon, which is 4 more berachot, will be part of my berachot of Shabbat. Why? Because Shabbat is harder to get to 100. So I'm eating Seudah Shlishit. In the middle of Seudah Shlishit, the guys say, we're in a rush, we want to do Arvit right now. So I say to myself, you know what, I'm going to say Arvit with them, then I'm going to come back and pray Berkat HaMazon. It's doable, and better not to, but if that happens and you're going to miss a minyan, go do it with them. But you should know that when you come back, says Rabbi Mansour, the Berkat HaMazon that you're going to say now after Arvit, even though it belongs to Shabbat, since you're saying it after Arvit, those 4 berachot of Berkat HaMazon are not going to be counted to your 100. So, just a way to think. Make sure you get to the 100 berachot. They say about Rav Avada, he was very careful to count, to make sure, how many berachot do I have? How many am I missing? Did I say this? Did I say that? It's an obligation, guys, surprising, even for women. I don't know if every woman will accept that so easily. 100 berachot a day is an obligation that each Jew has. Now, if you say that Berkat HaMazon, there's also a new chidush. Usually we say Retzeh v'chalitzenu and Seudah Shelishit. The Berkat HaMazon belongs to Seudah Shelishit, but since I already prayed Arvit, I don't even say Retzeh v'chalitzenu because Shabbat is over. There's no Retzeh v'chalitzenu. On a normal day, if I'm eating Seudah Shelishit and I'm dragging it into Motzei Shabbat and it's already half an hour after Shabbat, I still say Retzeh v'chalitzenu because for me it's still Shabbat. I'm extending my Shabbat, but now that I prayed Arvit, I'm showing that I'm already in a different day. No Retzeh v'chalitzenu. Now, one of the things that we do a lot on Shabbat, you'll see some Gabayim and some B'tei Knesset, also on Yom Kippurim, people pass by with the Golob or with the Besamim, make a bracha. Why? We're missing a lot of brachot on these days. We have to get to the 100. So there's a question. If I say Borei Minei Besamim, then I eat my meal, I say Berkat HaMazon. Now that I said Berkat HaMazon, does it equalize the situation and now I can take the same Besamim and say a beracha again? The answer is no. Berkat HaMazon is not considered Hesech Hadat. Hesech Hadat means distraction. Once you have Hesech Hadat from something, you need to say a bracha again. For example, you drank a cup of water, then your friend honked at you, you went outside to give him a bag, you came back inside into your house. Even though you just drank a second ago, you left the home, it's considered a distraction. You have to say She'akol Niyah B'Dvoro again if you're drinking water. However, Berkat HaMazon is not considered a distraction. Is a bathroom a distraction or not? It's a very, very big machloket. Some opinion holds that a bathroom is not. Some hold that it is. Therefore, Rabbi Vadia recommends that when you have that doubt, do what we said right now. Leave the house. You have to leave it to a place where it's not a customary for you to eat. Meaning, if you have in the back of your house, let's say a table where you're used to sitting and eating there, and you step out to the back garden, that's not considered leaving your house because you're used to eating there. But if you live in a building and you step out to the staircase, no one is used to eating in the staircase, that's considered like you left your house. If you go to the bathroom right now, you have a doubt if I need to say shakol or not again, he says, take a step outside of your house, come back in. Now for sure you know that you have to say shakol on the water. Okay. We're not learning Hilchot Berachot, but sometimes we get drawn into that. We're learning Berkot Ha'Shachar right now. Now, regarding the 100 Berachot on Shabbat, I don't know, you guys tell me if you have this custom or not, but when I was a kid, right after we say Borei Pri HaGefen Mekadesh HaShabbat, Friday night, my grandma would bring out the fish, and everybody would have fried fish, and we would say She'akol Niya Bidvaro on the fish. Now, today, they teach us that this is wrong to do. Why is it wrong to do? Because we're about to say Hamotzi, and Hamotzi is going to exempt everything during the meal. So why am I forcing myself another beracha? Plus, we come into a doubt where if we ate a sufficient amount of that fish, then some say we may have to say Bo'ah Nefashot before we say Hamotzi. Some say we don't. So we're bringing ourselves to an area that is gray, an area that has a machloket. So we were always taught, as growing up, learning halacha, to avoid that. However, says the Yalkut Yosef, that those that have the custom, so now I'm looking back at my grandparents, those that have the custom to eat the fish after Kiddush, they are allowed to stick with their custom. They have what to rely on. So if that is the custom in your home, do not feel guilty about going into the gray territory. If you grew up like that, you're allowed to continue with that custom. By the way,
specifically with fish, or can it be with like meat? If like I have a cutlet and stuff, it's
the idea is to add a beracha before you say hamotzi. I think that's where it originated from. During the week, you're not going to do that. Who does that during the week? We do it on Shabbat because we're scared not to reach 100 berachot. So it must be that this is a custom of, a big tzaddik that said, how are we going to reach 100 berachot? Oh, let's maybe say, in my family, it wasn't just fish. They would bring a ha'etz adama. We would take a cucumber, say adama, fish, say shakol. If that was your custom, you're allowed to continue it. I wouldn't say to start this custom right now. There are other ways of reaching 100 berachot. But if it's, the custom of the family, do not go against it. You have what to rely on. All right, very important. How do we say the beracha? So I teach my children, and I feel like this is very important. Once I taught them, it affected me as well. Let's try, when we say a beracha, to divide the beracha into 3 parts. Once you do that, it's almost a guarantee that you will not swallow words. What do I mean 3 parts? Baruch ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, once you have 3 parts, the Baruch Ata Hashem is there. People could say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmo if they're next to you. You finish it nicely. There's an amen. You don't swallow words. Each letter is gold. Why? To praise to Hashem. I once went to a minyan when I was actually in New York. I went to Rav Shaliach Tzibur. I had to wake up early. It was a Netz minyan, and I got there kind of early. And there was a guy. Maybe it was 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30. I see a guy reading Berkot Ha'Shachar. He was sitting down with his siddur, and I felt like he was talking to Hashem like it was a date. Like, Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam. I don't know if he knew I was looking at him, but I got so inspired by that. Now, why not? This is on Yom Ha'atzmaut in Israel. It's a very big day here of Torah. They call it Yom Shekulo Torah. Nobody has work. It's kind of like the 4th of July. Everybody's home. So instead of wasting the day on barbecues and whatnot, and of course, everybody also does the barbecue, but we go to Yom Shekulo Torah, so there's in many centers in Israel, from morning to night, they bring the top rabbis in Israel from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, 1 hour speeches, 12, one after the other. They throw in mincha. It's a full day of Torah. So yesterday over here, one of the rabbis came, Rav Meir Eliyahu, which is very dear to me, and he was talking about being close to Hashem and how important it is. The greatest level you could reach in this world, we would say learning Torah. That's amazing. But learning Torah is the way to bring us to the greatest thing, which is what? Being close to Hashem. David HaMelech says, Kirvat Elokim Litov. Closeness to Hashem is what's good. That's the ultimate goal of this world, to become close to Hashem in this world. How do you develop it? A relationship. Talking to it. Now, not everybody, it's easy for him to open his heart and start talking to Hashem like he's there. You see a lot of Hasidim, they practice that. So we do berachot, we learn Torah, because that's how we get close to Hashem. We learn about Him. How do you learn about Him? You look at Hashem's masterpiece, you look at Hashem's Torah, and from that you a little bit get a better understanding. You want to become close to Him. You have to remember that that's the goal. A beracha with kavanah is an opportunity to become close to Hashem. You're talking to Hashem right now. You're thanking Him for the food that He's giving you. It's not just swallowing the words. No one said Amen. No one said Baruch Shmo. Chabad, it's an opportunity. Baruch Ata, thank you, Hashem. Elokeinu melech haolam. If you can't do each and every beracha like that, have in mind, start one bracha a day. I remember in Shemon Esrei, to me, when I was trying to, to strengthen my tefillah, I said, Shema Kolenu. It's hard to have kavanah throughout the whole Shemon Esrei. Who's able to do that? It's a very difficult challenge. But Shema Kolenu is an important bracha. It's like a kind of a collective bracha that collects all the brachot until that moment, and you have room to also speak to Hashem. I remember thinking to myself, this is an opportunity where I can talk to Hashem. Everybody has to find his place, but start with something, over here, this is my opportunity to be close to Hashem. Anyway, back to Berkot Ha'Shachar. Each beracha should be divided into 3 parts and try to have as much kavanah as you can. Now, famous machloket. What's the machloket? Berkot Ha'Shachar. So what does each one mean? For example, Hanoten lasichvi bina lafchin ben yom uven la'ala. Do you know what that means? Anybody know? What is a sichvi? Very good.
Rooster?
A rooster. My daughter over here next to me, she's saying a chicken. She heard the question. A sichvi is a chicken. So what are we actually saying? We're saying, thank you, Hashem, for giving the sichvi the wisdom to differentiate between day and night. Well, what type of thank you is that? Back in the day, there was no alarm clock. How did they know it's time to wake up to pray? They would hear the, shacharit time. Everybody would jump out of bed. Thank you, Hashem, for making this sichvi, for this rooster to do the cock-a-doodle-doo for us so that we can go make a tefillah. Rav Mansur was saying when he was in Morocco, they put him in a hotel. I guess he was saying speeches there, or not. So he opens the window of the hotel, and what does he see? To the window, there's like a little stage with a chicken and a string, and the chicken is tied to the window. He said, what is this? Oh, every morning, this is how we wake up. The chicken is by the window. Once nets comes, boom, the chicken knows to wake you up in the nets. Unbelievable. He was being funny. He was saying the only problem is with this chicken is there's no snooze button. You can't tell it, hey, once I heard this once. Some areas, the chickens, they start going at it at that moment. Today, we don't see so many chickens where we live, but it's an interesting thing. They are like an alarm clock, a natural alarm clock. So that's the beracha, noten sichvi. Now, what does the Rambam say? The Rambam says you can only say the beracha hanoten sichvi bina once you heard the chicken. Meaning, according to the Rambam, all of us today that do not hear chickens when we wake up in the morning, we do not say the beracha hanoten sichvi bina afrim leila. And not just that, every single beracha the Rambam says that you say it has to be attached to the action. Which means, zokef kefufim, I'm straightening my back. Okay, that's when I say the beracha. I'm putting on shoes. That's when I say that beracha. I'm putting on ozer Israel b'gvura. Once I put on my belt, I say ozer Israel b'gvura. I put on my hat, oter Israel b'tifara. A person doesn't wear a hat. A person doesn't wear a belt. According to the Rambam, he's not saying that berachot. And I'm going to surprise you. It's not just the Rambam. The Shulchan Aruch, which is where we feed from, his water is the water that we drink. He holds like the Rambam that really, if you did not hear the rooster, if you not put on a belt, you do not say those berachot. You're going to tell me, hey, what are you talking about? We all don't hear those and we still say the berachot today. We're all wrong. We don't follow Rambam. We don't follow Shulchan Aruch. What's going on? What's the answer? 2 answers. There's the answer according to the Kabbalah and the answer according to the Peshat. The answer according to the Kabbalah, that there was a rabbi that lived almost 500 years ago called Ha'ari HaKadosh, the famous, greatest Kabbalist to ever live in the last 2,000 years or so. And Ha'ari HaKadosh says that don't think that the bracha, just because it says thank you Hashem for letting us to hear this rooster, it's actually referring to the rooster. That's the base level, the peshat. In depth, each and every word that we're saying in this beracha, it's not stam that Chachamei and Cheknes Tagdola and Cheknes Tagdola were there to fix these berachot for us. No, when they put together these berachot, there's so many secrets and so many depths. And by reading this beracha, anytime you say Baruch, if you ever been to a minyan of Mekubalim, if not, let me know next time you're in Israel. I'll send you to a place where Tefillat Shmona Esrei takes 40 minutes. They read like this, Baruch, and they say Baruch, and they have a lot of kavanot, and the letters are going up and down. And we don't understand this, but what's happening over there is they're building these great ladders, spiritual ladders that go up to Shamayim and bring back down abundance. And it's called Manumad. It's called the waters that we bring up and the water that comes back down to us. Says Ha'ari HaKadosh, every single beracha that you say, even though it seems like it has a simple interpretation, like putting on a belt, putting on a hat, no, that's really in depth. you're building great stuff up in the heavens, and therefore, even if you're not hearing the rooster, you're not putting on a belt, you should say these berachot one after the other. Now this is, and he says it's a tikkun gadol b'shamayim. It's a great fixing up in the heavens. Now we don't understand this, but a lot of the times when it comes to tefillah, even though Yalkut Yosef and a lot of rabbis have the halacha that they go according to the peshat, but a lot of places you'll see when it comes to tefillah, halacha is like Ari HaKadosh, and therefore that's what we do. Rav Ovadia brings a more simple interpretation. Rav Ovadia says it's not because of the great stuff. That's the custom today. The custom today is that we say. So even though Shulchan Aruch says not to say, when there's a custom against the Shulchan Aruch, the rule is to always learn the rules of a Shulchan Aruch. He himself says, all the halachot that I'm bringing to you is halachot for a place that doesn't have a minhag. But if there's a minhag that is ancient, that contradicts what halacha that I'm telling you, you should follow the minhag and you should not follow me. Says the Rav Ovadia, the minhag is to say all Berkot Ha'Shachar, regardless if I heard a rooster, if I'm putting on a belt. So either way, from both ways, from Ari HaKadosh or from Rav Ovadia, we say each and every single beracha in the morning. Now, what's the importance of Berkot Ha'Shachar? So there's a beautiful pirush by Rabbi Eliezer Papo. Anybody know who Rabbi Eliezer Papo is? There's a reason why I'm asking this. Rabbi Eliezer Papo is the author of the Pele Yoetz. This is one of the books that we were learning in this class. In the last few years, we've been learning Pele Yoetz. Ashamnu, I'm wrong that I haven't brought you a piece of Pele Yoetz in a while. But Rabbi Eliezer Papo wasn't just writing us a book of advice. He wrote books of halacha. He was a great scholar of Torah. So according to Rabbi Eliezer Papo, he writes in his book called Chesed La'alafim, Yikanes b'chitov, v'yitzeh b'chitov. What does that mean? It means that you come in good and you leave good. In other words, the Berkot Ha'Shachar are the first berachot that you're saying of the day. So he says that the way you will say these berachot in the morning are going to infect your whole entire day. If all of a sudden you find yourself in a beautiful tefillat Shemona Esrei where you have a lot of kavanah and you feel connected to Hashem, look back in the morning, you must have said Berkot Ha'Shachar properly. A person that starts the Berkot Ha'Shachar word for word, divides it into three parts. It's a segula for you to not just begin your day in a good way. He's talking spiritually, but of course, spiritual usually affects the physical as well. But it will also be a segula for you to end the day as well. Yikanes b'chitov, come in a good way, and you should leave the day in a good way as well. All right, halacha question. I was up all night. It was Leil Shavuot, it was Leil Hoshana Rabbah, or babies were crying, whatever it is. Someone was up all night. Now, it's morning time. Do I have to do Netilat Yadayim? I did not sleep for 1 second. And if so, do I say a beracha? Anybody want to give a go?
You wash with that bracha.
Pretty sure you don't say the bracha.
Machloket, but what do we do halachically? There's a halacha, bottom line.
We wash
without bracha.
Very good, very good. Guys, Baruch Hashem, the scholars of the test, I see. So we wash without a beracha. Now, why do we have to wash? If the belief is that I was asleep, and when I'm asleep, my body is like somewhat dead, and then my neshama comes back to me, so mechaya metim, I have to clean myself from the dead. But if I'm up all night, anybody have a reasoning? Why do I have to wash my hands?
The Ruach Ra is still in that time.
Wow, Tomer, very good. You weren't even in the class, but we explained that the Rosh holds that it's not about the sleep, it's about nighttime. Since nighttime arrives, there's Ruach Ra, like Tomer is saying, and therefore we still have to wash our hands, but we do not say a beracha. Zaku Baruch. All right. Now, how do we have to say Berkot Ha'Shachar? I was describing to you the gentleman in Rav Shaliach Tzibul's minyan that was sitting and reading it. Do we have to sit down? Are we allowed to stand up? A lot of discussion around this, but the conclusion is that a person needs to do what helps him best to have kavanah. For me personally, I like to sit down so that I don't feel like I'm rushed. Usually it's before the house wakes up. In this room, in my learning room, I come, laat. But if a person feels more comfortable standing up in the kitchen while he's having his coffee or I don't know what, you have to find the place that for you, the beracha is going to be the best. That's the formula. So there's no obligation to sit or to stand. The idea is to have the most kavanah. All right. Now, where do we say the beracha? So as I just mentioned, my custom is to say it at home. If you go to Ashkenazi shul, they read Berkot Ha'Shachar out loud in shul, which means They put on tefillin. They say bracha on tefillin. They say bracha on talit. And only after all of that, they start reading Berkot Ha'Shachar and Berkot Torah. That's their custom. However, usually Sephardim, we don't do that. We say our berachot before the tefillah begins, each one on its own. Over there, they read it out loud. The reasoning is so that everybody could say Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo, and Amen to 18 berachot. It's a big gain. It's a good way to start the day. I once saw a video of Rav Kanievsky and his wife, and they were saying to each other Berkot Ha'Shachar, and she was answering Amen to her. Beautiful, right? But the Sephardi custom is not like that. So where do we say the beracha? Ashkenazim, their custom is to do it in shul. Sephardim don't have this minhag. The Ari Kadosh and the Rav Ovadia, meaning the Kabbalah and the Pshat, they will both tell you that the idea is to say the bracha at home, benachat, better than to go into the shul. But again, the whole reasoning behind it is so that you have kavanah. If I'm a type of guy that at home, there's balagan, there's, I don't know, babies crying, there's kids screaming, whatever everybody has in their mind. Okay, you have more kavanah in Bet Knesset, go to Bet Knesset, say it over there. That's the idea, to have good kavanah. All right, we have time, I guess, for one or two more halachot. Mesupak im berech hayom. What does that mean? Somebody does not remember if he said Berkot Ha'Shachar. He was up half of the night, sleeping, not sleep. Then he woke up, he put on tefillin, and he's like, oh my God, did I say Berkot Ha'Shachar? I don't remember. He has a doubt. Did he say or did he not say? So what does he do? Does he need to say Berkot Ha'Shachar now or no? What do you think? Safek berachot?
Le'akel.
Le'akel. When you have a doubt, I'm not going to say the berachot right now because there's a doubt. And these berachot were established by Anshe Knesset Gdolah. It's from Chachamim. It's not from the Torah. Since it's Safek de Rabbanan, it's a Safek from Chachamim, and we have a doubt, we do not say the berachot. However, Chachamim give us an advice, and we'll end with this piece of advice, that if that ever happens, which is, Baruch Hashem, today, it's I can't imagine how that will happen, but if someone does not remember if he said Berkot Ha'Shachar, he should try to find someone that hasn't said Berkot Ha'Shachar. For me, it's relevant. For example, if it ever happened to me, my minyan in the morning, I pray a lot of times with Ashkenazim. So they read the berachot out loud. So you go to the chazan, you tell them, do me a favor. When you read these berachot, I'm not sure if I said or not. My mind was distracted. Have me in mind. He has you in mind. You say amen, then for sure, you're good. There's another way, and this way is a key for life. Everybody open your ears. This is a key for life. Anytime you have a doubt, if you said a beracha, you left the bathroom, you don't remember I said asher etzar. You're eating an apple, you don't remember if you said borei pri ha'etz. According to the Rambam, saying the beracha in your mind is sufficient. I'm not going to say that that's the halacha, but we use this Rambam whenever we have a doubt. So I don't remember if I said ha'etz or not. I'm not going to say the bracha. Maybe it's bracha levatala, safek berachot le'akel. In my mind, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz. Boom. Between you and me, my father-in-law, you know, he's in a condition where he can't speak, he's in bed. But he likes to pray every morning. We put the siddur in front of him and he doesn't verbalize. Rabbi Ben Chaim asked me, please point out to him that just by reading the berachot in his mind, he's fulfilling the mitzvah of tefillah according to the Rambam. He's doing great. So Baruch Hashem, and good health to all of us. But anytime you have a doubt, either find someone that hasn't said it, have kavanah. And if you can't find that, just say it in your mind. And that would be sufficient as well according to the Rambam. Fantastic, gentlemen. Toda rabba, chazak u'baruch. We'll see you Be'ezrat Hashem next week. The same time, Tomer, welcome again to our class. Bruchim habayim.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Dave.
Bye.